Hey friends, so in this video we're going to talk about a couple of things. And one of those things is Cleveland models. I don't know if you've heard that name before, but if you've been around balsa wood aircraft models any length of time at all, you've heard of these people. And the other thing is oldmodelkits.com. You just enter that as one word, oldmodelkits.com. And then you can look up their plastic kits or their balsa wood kits, and they have, I don't know how many categories they actually have, but if you're looking for something along the line of what I do on this channel, those would be the two that you probably want to look at. Anyway, old model kits, that's where I got this Cleveland. Again, these are long out of production. I think they started in about 1919, 1920. They created wood kits all the way through, I think, until the 1940s, maybe a little bit beyond then. But some of their kits are highly sought after. They're museum quality, whatever their top of the line kits. I think it was called this is a master kit. They have, I think, one called museum something kits. Anyway, they're typically a 1/16 scale on those most sought after models, and they're pretty highly detailed. And I don't know, some people toss around the word precision, but they're really good kits. Anyway, this is not one of those. This is a master kit, and it's a little bit smaller. And in fact, there's a few things going on with this. So when you buy from old model kits, they'll rate the kit they're sending you. This one has some bug damage to the tissue covering, which is just so old it's almost dust. There's a little bit of damage to the plan sheet, and I'll show you that in a minute. But all the parts have been inventoried. They'll tell you the boxes, either they'll say boxes sealed, factory sealed, or they'll say something that all parts have been inventoried. It tells you they'll tell you whether the kit has been started or not, and exactly to what degree it was started or not. And so there's that. I don't know what that was. So here's what's in this kit. There is some sheet balsa, small pieces of sheet balsa in 1/16 and 1/8 inch thick. What else? We've got all of the strip stock here in one bundle wrapped with the ancient tissue covering. There's another piece. This looks like a firewall section. What kit is this? Let me think, see if I can remember. I think this is a Boeing F4B, or it can be built as the P-12. This little piece of paper talks about how to carve a pilot figure, how to make goggles, and I usually use cold solder to make the actual goggles part, and then a strip of tape or fabric of some kind to make the the strap. So this is print wood. It just means they print the parts onto the wood. There's no die cut or pre-cut pieces here. It's just printed onto the wood. As I look at this, yes, that's what this is. So let me just and obviously then the parts are not notched. They just show you where to make the notches yourself. These are the wing ribs. So where is the plan sheet? Ah, there it is. I took it out first. Alright, so there's a brush in here, kind of a funky looking thing. And there is a length of fine wire and a length of piano wire. There's a piece of balsa, ancient rubber band, and another block. Well, let's take a look at those plans. Now, there was something interesting about this kit. It actually includes a couple of different sorts of plans. I wrapped this around it to try and keep it from coming apart any further. So let's see. Right, there's this sailboat plan sheet in here. Here's the F4B over here. So there's the upper and lower wing superimposed on top of each other. You just have to be very careful in layup how you go about that. And here's the side view of the fuselage, so we can get the F4B fuselage laid up. And where are the tail? There's the rudder, and here's the two elevators sides. You just make two, flip one over to make left and right. And this is a Cleveland kit, and I'd be darned if I know why it was printed along with this sailboat, but there it is. And then there's more on the back side. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, this is yet another airplane. What is this? This looks like a Stinson or monocoop. It's a monocoop. And what's this over here? Some sort of glider. Well, it's an interesting plan sheet. It's got a little bit of everything going on, doesn't it? Huh. I'll have to look at that monocoop. That looks pretty cool. Anyway, what I bought was the F4B. That's this guy here. Or P12. Can be built as either one. I'm going to roll this back up to try and keep it from getting any more ancient than it is. Okay, so oldmodelkits.com can be a source for those out of production kits. It's also a good source. I've seen some Gillo kits on there, both early out of production ones, the Rumpler, and some of those you can't find anymore. I think the Mossy's been in there a few times, and the Mosquito. But it also, currently sold, but for much less of a much lower cost than you would get from the Gillo website. I think I saw a PBY complete, still factory sealed, and on old model kits it was $60. And I think on their website now, it's on Gillo, it's $130. So you can find deals like that at old model kits, as well as find the old Berkeley kits like I've shown here, some of the Dave Dials kits, and just, today's hobby, sometimes they come up on that site and they'll be reasonable there. The only thing with that site though is you pay. He charges quite a bit for freight and handling, more than usual, more than I've paid anywhere else. But it's worth it to get a product shipped well, and they do. When I've gotten orders from them, they've been packaged well. This was in a box with all kinds of padding and so forth, so it was well packaged. He doesn't just ship them in these, which some others have done. So we got a couple of wooden wheels. We got a thrust bearing for the propeller. We've got these wacky plastic propeller blades. But again, this kit is very old, and from probably before the props were kind of made the way they are now, injection molded. These are just cut from sheet plastic. Wow, that's really, anyway, pretty cool. So that's this one, and again, this is Cleveland, and if you're, like I said, anybody who's familiar at all, balsa airplane kits, you'll know Cleveland. And he's got usually a lot of these Cleveland kits in various, this is kind of a beat condition, but it's a subject that is hard to find. The F4B, it's almost impossible to find a decent kit of that airplane in a reasonable scale. So I bought this one knowing that it was going to be a little dicey, but it's fine. It's going to be all right. I'm looking at what's in here, and it should be fine. I do want to get this built up. This is an airplane I've always loved. The Boeing F4B, the P-12, Boeing P-12, same airplane, just kind of slightly different depending on whether. So the Navy wanted the F4B, and again the Army Air Corps, pre-Air Force. So before USAF, it was the Army Air Corps, USAAC, United States Army Air Corps. And that's what the lettering they put under the wing of the airplanes for a while there, because that's what they called it. So the P-12 was the Army version, and F4B was the Navy. Kermit Weeks, I don't know if you know Kermit Weeks, but if you do, go to his channel. He's got eight F4Bs now. Somehow he ended up with a guy that was refurbishing only F4Bs, the guy, some fella up near the Canadian border. And Kermit got a hold of one or two frames, and then he found this guy that was the work. That's all that he did was F4Bs. He had a couple there in his shop that were in default. Their owners couldn't continue. So Kermit bought those, and then he bought the tooling from the guy. The guy had recreated the tooling to stamp the kind of corrugated tail surfaces and ailerons for the Boeing F4s. And because you couldn't find it anywhere, and the only way to replicate that shape, that metal, was to make it yourself. And so this guy created his jig, and so now Kermit owns those. Anyway, he just had a bunch of those fuselages shipped down to himself down in Florida. And you can see over the next probably few months and years, those airplanes being assembled and flown. It's kind of amazing that those airplanes are going to be flying again. And they look mint. At least the one fuselage that I've seen completely built up and down in his hangar now. He's got the wings and the tail and the fuselage and the motor ready for one airplane. So I don't think it'll be too long before we see that thing going. Really amazing airplane. If you want to see it, Boeing F4B, you can look it up. You'll know when you see it if you're familiar with pre-war, or what they call, I guess, interwar, the 30s biplanes, the stuff after World War I and before World War II, the golden age of aviation, the Boeing F4B or P-12. Just a beautiful biplane, and that's what this kit is of. I'm going to keep this. I'll probably follow this instruction to carve a pilot for it, just because we have now the way. We know now what it is, the way to do it. So we've got that original 1930s era instruction and diagram. Beauty. Right, so there's that kit. And, well, let me see. What else have I got in here? I got another. This is a flyline model. And if you want to see a flyline model getting built up, it's the first build video that I did. So look for the flyline Stearman C3B in the playlist on my channel, and you can see a flyline models Stearman. Now it's the Stearman C3B, but I built from that kit the YPT-9 Cloud Boy, because I like the Cloud Boy, and it was essentially based on loosely and closely and similarly to the C-3B. It was like an adaptation of that civilian biplane to a military. YPT-9, the Cloud Boy, was presented to the Army as a candidate for Army Aircraft Primary Trainer. Y for what do they call that? Preliminary or proposed, a Y, or experimental, and then the PT Primary Trainer -9 Stearman Cloud Boy. So that's what I built from that kit. So I just made a few little modifications, changed this fuselage just a little bit, and changed the tail, the empennage, just a little bit to make it look more like the YPT-9, and then a little modification to the wing as well, upper wing. And you can see that build and how that kit looked probably coming out of the box. So here we have, and what is this one again? The classic 1929 monocoupe. Now my wife brought this home. She was at work, and I don't know how it came up. Something about the channel. I guess one of the guys down there builds and flies models and airplanes, and he had this kit, and somehow I guess she heard him talking about the models, and she said, oh, you know, there's Haywood planes if you want to see a guy, some guy randomly building them. So the guy looked at the channel, and then he brought this and said, hey, look, you know, I've got this kit, you know, can you take this home and see if a guy can build it or whatever. And you know, I told Aaron, like, just let him know. The feller's name is Sean. Sean, I apologize if you're watching. I don't know your last name, but you know, she said, you know, and I told her, I don't know when I'd be able to get to this, and that's one. And two, I build a little bit of a different range of airplanes. So